Hello everybody and welcome to the 26th episode of the MyMuddlings podcast. I'm your host Julianne and I'm super pleased that you're all here joining me today. It is the 23rd of February, it is one of my best friend's birthdays today, so that's made it easy for me to remember the day today because you know I'm usually not so great at that. What can I say? It's been an interesting week. I've been struggling with feeling good. I'm trying to remain positive in my brain just to keep that going. I think I may be getting a touch of a sore throat, so I do apologise if I am a bit scratchy in this episode. Hopefully you'll still be able to hear me clearly. I perhaps, have a touch of the sexy the phone operator voice. I'm super glad that everybody can join me. If you're a new viewer, thank you so much for checking me out. If you're a returning viewer, thank you so much for coming back. I really it makes me so happy that you like what I do, and I hope to keep doing this for you guys for a while. So yes, and I'm blathering because I don't know what I want to say. Maybe I should just get on with things. I think I'll probably have a little bit of a blather along the way. So let me think. What's the first thing? We are still, of course, as I say every week, we have our year-long knit-along happening over in the MyMuddlings Ravelry group. In the podcast Ravelry group, I do have a separate one for my yarns as well. So yes, that's a year-long knit-along. It's the stash down. It's to use anything that was in your stash prior to the 1st of January 2017. So anything that was in your stash prior to that date is fair game, and just tote up your yardage there, and there'll be prizes at the end of the year, and there'll also be prizes as we go. So Karen chose her pattern that she won for January's chatter thread, which was really beautiful, so I've sent that off to her. I hope you enjoy that, Karen. I can't wait to see what you knit. So yeah, we've got 2 great sponsors at this stage, well 3 including myself, because I in MyMuddlings Etsy store is also a sponsor. But other than me, we have Caroline of Clothesline Designs, and she has patterns available on Ravelry, and she's offered up a couple of patterns as prizes for the monthly chatter. And we also have Tamara from Tam's Crafty Knits, and she's offered up a project bag and a DPN holder. So that'll be a bigger prize a bit later in the year. And of course, as always, I'm looking for for other sponsors. If you'd like to donate some patterns, if you're a pattern designer or you're a project bag or stitch marker maker, if you'd like to donate one of your products, that'd be really awesome. Or alternatively, you can donate towards me purchasing prizes. So if you'd like to do that, head on over to mymuddlings.com and you can find everything in the show notes there. Okay, so let's get on to what I've been working on, and Granger is in the room and I think he wants to say hi. Hello? You wanting to say hi to everybody? Look what's up here. Can you see the camera? No? Okay. I think he's going to come and sit in my lap. He likes it when I'm down on his level. Alright, bud, I've got a podcast to do. Yeah, I love you too. Yeah. Back. Come on. Go sit down. There's a good boy. Yeah, you can sit down there. That's good. That's fine. Don't knock over the iPad. Good boy. You can stay there. That's all right. Good boy. So the first thing I have to talk about, I have a couple of finished objects this week. The first thing is my strata shawl, which I spoke about last week. And this is a pattern by Shara Lambeth of the What Shara Made podcast. Hi, Shara. And she kindly gifted me this pattern for my birthday last year. So I have finished, and it's rather big, as you can see. And I did add, I think I mentioned last week, I was going to add a little bit more on the bottom. So I've added a few extra garter rows on the bottom. So this was super quick. I think the dates on Ravelry took me about 6 days to knit, which is super quick for a shawl of this size. I used 451 yards and I knitted on a 5mm, which is a US 8 circular. So yeah, I'm really pleased with it. I love the colour. I think it, on my viewfinder, it's coming out a little bit blue. It is a touch more green. It's more of a teal colour. And yeah, as I said last week, the shawl pattern actually has bobbles, but I put in eyelets instead because I really didn't like the way that my bobbles were looking. So yeah, I put eyelets in instead, which is fine. And yeah, so I got this done. I was pretty pleased with it. What else can I say? I did follow Shara's suggestion, and I did an Icelandic bind off, which goes really well, as she said, with the garter stitch. So and it's quite stretchy. So I mean, it's stretchy enough for a shawl. So yes, I was very pleased with this, and this was Red Riding Hood yarns on her Bell DK base, and she sells that in big 200 gram balls, which you would have seen last week. And yes, this was the colourway Just Nice, which was inspired by Meryl Streep's character in the movie Into the Woods. I popped a picture of her character into the podcast last week, so if you want to see that, or you can just Google it, I guess. But yes, this was the colourway inspired by her character, so I'm pretty happy with it. I haven't actually worn it yet because it's been pretty warm, but it has actually been a little bit cooler this week, so there we go. I could probably get away with wearing that for the rest of the podcast, really, because it's not too hot today, which is quite nice, and I wore blue as well, so it all works. Who knew? Yeah, a bit of foresight that I didn't realise that I had. So yeah, and then after that, my only other finished objects were some knitted bangles, and they obviously match my shawl because I only had a little bit left, because I said I was going to leave enough for a hat, but I don't know what I was thinking about with that, because the ball I think was 420 metres, and the shawl I think needed about 350 metres before I made it bigger. So yeah, I don't know what I was thinking. There was definitely not going to be enough to make a hat from it. So I had, how much did I use on these bangles? I used 23 yards on these bangles. So let's see if we can have a look at them. They are super cool. I saw them, the pattern is by Amber O'Brien, and they're just called Easy Knitted Bangle, and I was looking for, you know, just something small. I thought it would be a crochet project, honestly, to make with my leftovers, because I did have just that 23 yards left. And I came across these, and I was looking at them and I thought, oh, they look like they've got an actual bangle on the inside as a form, you know, to hold their shape. And I thought, oh, yeah, I don't have any bangles and I don't really want to go buy bangles. But I had a look and had a read. It's a free pattern. And no, they are actually just a piece of knitted fabric. So you can kind of see that there. And basically once you're finished and you're bound off, you just kind of give them a little bit of a tug and they just curl back on themselves. So I thought that was really awesome. And they don't use a lot. Yeah, so for the two of them, I think this one was the medium size and this one was the small size, because there's 3 different like cast on sizes. This one was knit to the full size, which is 1.25 inches. But this one I just basically used however much I had left after knitting the first one. So I think I prefer the smaller, I think, but they look really awesome stacked. And I've got a little bit of like my leftover Wool and Vine yarn from my, what was it called? It was the striped cowl that I did, the grafted cowl. So I've got those left, and I thought I'd make some bangles out of those, because, you know, I don't have really anything else I can do with tiny amounts of DK. I mean, fingering, I can put it in my crochet blanket, and anything thicker than that, I do have a Cozy Memories blanket that I'm knitting for sort of leftovers of sort of worsted and Aran weight. So not really wanting to do another blanket for my DK weight things. I thought these were really awesome, and they only take, I mean, for the two of them, it was 23 yards, and I think the pattern says about 15 yards for one. So yeah, really awesome. Pattern, of course, as always, is in the show notes, so please check that out because it's really cool. And for part of the stash down along, that used up my skein, so my complete skein of the Belle DK is gone. So I could get the extra yardage for using up the skein and being able to put it into the all used up. So, and I love putting things into all used up because it makes me feel like I'm decluttering. So yeah, yeah. So that's the easy knitted bangles, and I would definitely recommend you check them out because they're really cool. Alright, so what I've been working on, I really haven't been working on a lot because I've been suffering a lot with pain in my wrists, and I think my knitting mojo's a little bit on the low end. Not that I like, my brain still wants to knit, but I'm getting bored really easily when I do start, so I don't quite know what's going on there. But I have been working on my Goomy socks, which is something that I have talked about before. And this is Berger de France Goomy 50 yarn, which is this one here. And I'm using the Imprime Azure colourway. And I'm up to the toe on my first sock. And that's with the Fish Lipa Kim Heel, so it's just my standard vanilla sock. I really like the way the yarn has sort of the pooling and like the zigzag that the colour on the yarn you know, has created. I can't word today, can you notice that? So yes, I'm actually thinking of selling these because I have so many pairs of socks, and I said to my sister, do you want a pair of socks, you know? I said, I have so many of them, and she's like, well, why don't you just sell them? And I'm sort of like, I guess I could, you know, if you don't want to take my gift of hand-knitted socks. Yeah, maybe I'll pop them in the shop, so if you like these, when they're done, they may be in the shop. So, I'll keep you posted. They are for my size, so they'll be about an Australian size 9, so it's about 24 point something centimetre long foot. So I hope you didn't hear that. My stomach just grumbled really loudly. I'm a bit hungry. It's too early in the morning to be having any lunch. It's only 10:15. So yeah, I did cast on the second sock. I don't think I have it handy. Oh yes, I do. Because I went up to my sister's house yesterday, so that's how far I am on the second sock, on the second ball. So I didn't really want to be fiddling with DPNs up at Lou's place, so I started my second one. So no second sock syndrome for me. Yeah, so I've just been slowly plugging away on that as my wrists will allow me to, as my attention span will allow me to. So yeah, I don't know. I think it's just been one of those weeks. I'm just feeling flat, you know. As my dad used to say, the biorhythms are down, which I think was a crazy thing. In like Windows 3.1, there was like this little thing where you could put, I think it was your birth date and the day that it is, and it would give you like your biorhythm readout. I don't quite understand what it was, but my dad always says, you know, our biorhythms are down. Yeah, so that's kind of how I'm feeling at the moment. I just don't have much enthusiasm for anything. And it feels like things are just piling on me at the moment, but I'm trying to remain positive and think about what I do want, not what I don't want. I don't think I've spoken about it, but I'm a massive fan of The Secret, so I'm always trying to work the law of attraction to, you know, bring good things into my life instead of bad things. So I'm trying not to focus on the bad things, I'm trying just to focus on the good things. So I've got some more to talk about that a bit later. If you follow me on Instagram, you will have seen it. But anyway, let's go on with some more craft because I do have quite a bit to talk about, and it looks like my battery is running out on my camera, so hopefully it'll last until I'm done. So next thing is I have some spinning. I have been doing a little bit of spinning. That's kind of been where my brain has been wanting to go, which is fine by me because I haven't really wanted to spin for a while. And this is my first bobbin. of, it's Kathy's Fibres, and the colourway is Gemtree, and it's just her merino, which I think is a 18 micron merino. Yeah, so did I say it was Gemtree? And I am doing a three-ply fractal with this one. So this was my bobbin of the very thinner, like I split it in 3. I kept one chunk whole, the second chunk I did in 2, and then the last chunk I did in 4. So this is the one that I split into 4. And I started the first half of the second that I split into 2 last night. So yeah, I worked on that. Oh, my bobbin's a little bit loose. So yeah, I've been quite enjoying that. Strangely, the second bobbin has actually come out thinner than this one. It's a lot finer spin. So I'm not too worried because it is a 3-ply, so the plies tend to balance each other out pretty well on a 3-ply, so I'm not too worried. I'm just letting it do what it does. And I'm just spinning this on Tracy, my traditional Ashford wheel, and just a short forward draw, which is just my default yarn, really. But I have been throwing in a little bit, every now and then I find myself doing a short backward draw, which is quite interesting. I just start pulling the fibre back instead of, you know, pulling it forwards. But I'm just going with it. I really love the colours in this one, you know, blues and purples, they're really my colours, so I'm really looking forward to this one being done, because I can't wait to see. I love fractals, I love her 3-ply fractal, so I can't wait to see how this looks. So yeah, that's my spinning that I've been doing. And I think, is this the first time ever I have some sewing to show you, which is pretty exciting. The first thing is I actually forgot about it last week, is because, you know, I did a very short, very rushed podcast last week because I wasn't going to podcast at all, but I did. So yeah, I did forget the sewing that I had done, and I can show you one of them because I did 2 of these. If you follow me on Instagram, you will have seen the pajama eaters. So this is the one that I made for my nephew, and the one I made for my niece actually went out in the post because it was her birthday last week, so that went out in the post to her. Unfortunately, I haven't heard whether they received it or whether she liked it, which is a little bit disappointing, but you know, that's my sister. So the first one is already in Sydney, and the second one is still here with me. My nephew's birthday isn't until September, so he'll be hanging around for a few more months. And basically these are like a stuffy. I did overstuff the arms and the legs, which made them a little bit hard to sew together. But basically, as they are called pajama eaters because there's a little pocket in the mouth that the kids can put their pajamas in when they, or their nightie when they get out of bed. So I hand stitched the eyes on with just a blanket stitch. You can probably see it best on the iris there. And I used felt for the eyes, and there's felt for the mouth. And yeah, it came together pretty easily. I did have a little bit of problem. I'm not great at sewing corners, so I don't know if you'd be able to see, but there's like slight little puckers around the corners of the feet. But other than that, it turned out pretty well. And I have discovered, strangely enough, a bit of a love for hand sewing, because to put the last seam is this one here along his butt, and I just used like a little ladder stitch just to stitch that all together so that it's all invisible, because you can't really run a machine seam along there. And I really enjoyed it, and I kind of feel like I want to do that for all of my project bags that I sew now, because I just quite enjoyed, you know, chucking on. I think I watched the last couple of episodes of, I was watching episodes of American Horror Story Hotel as I was sewing these together, so which I quite enjoyed, and I finished it off the other day for a couple of other bags that I'm going to talk about in a minute. So yeah, it's pretty cute, and this is a pattern by So Fearless, And I got this as part of a bundle that I purchased like back in 2013, I think. So yeah, I was pretty happy with that. I think if I was to make them again, I wouldn't stuff the arms and the legs quite so much because it would make it a lot easier to sew. You can kind of, I don't know if you'd be able to see it really, but you can see how that kind of, it sways, the stitching kind of sways. I couldn't get a straight stitch because the padding was kind of pushing the foot away, if that makes sense. I like trying to get it under my presser foot on the machine. The stuffing kind of pushed it to the side, so I couldn't get that real straight stitch. But yeah, I was pretty happy with them. I thought they turned out great, and I'll pop in a picture so that you can see the one that I made for my niece. Hers was like colourful sort of palm frond leaves. So yeah, that's the Pajama Eaters, and I realised that I haven't put a link to the pattern in my show notes, but I will do that, so you can check that out there. Other sewing that I have done, I will put a picture in. If you follow me on Instagram on MyMuddlings, you would have seen it yesterday. I sewed a little project bag for my niece because I think I may have told you guys, I was there a couple weeks ago and I had my knitting, and I said to her, would you like your own knitting? And she was really excited. She was like, yes, please. So I made her up a little kit, and I had a ball of some just Marvel Soft acrylic that I got from Spotlight, and just a set of really big, I think they were 6mm 40 centimeter circular, and I made her a little progress keeper, where I gave her a progress keeper with a little snowflake on it, because I think I told you, because she said it was like Frozen. My progress keeper was like Frozen. So, and a little bag, so I put it all in a little pink ladybird bag, and it was so cute because I got there and I had everything, and pretty much as soon as I got there, my sister was a little bit over having 2 kids because her husband had to go away for work, so she was a little bit like, ugh. So it's pretty much as soon as I got there, I got Piper thrust in my arms, so I was holding Piper, and Amelia was coming up and wanting to, you know, have a cuddle, a bit of interaction, and I was like, whoa, I've got this baby, what do I do? Like, you know, I'm not a multitasking mum. So yeah, I was holding Piper, and I said to Amelia, I said, I've got a present for you. And she says to me, like, this kid remembers everything. And she says to me, she goes, is it my knitting? And I said, yes, it's your knitting. And so she was like, yay. She's like, where is it? And I said, you see that pink bag over by my handbag there? I said, that's for you. And she you know, she goes over and she gets it, and she's like opening it up, and yeah, so she went through it. It was really cute, and she's like, I do knitting. I do my knitting, and I said, well, I've got to get it started for you first. I said, it's going to be a little bit hard. She goes, I'm do it. So I'm trying to do a long tail cast on, because I thought if I do a loop, like just a circle of yarn on that, you know, circular needle, and you know, as we work on it, we can maybe just like knit a tube, and then eventually I could probably, you know, probably years and years from now, I could probably, you know, seam it together, and she could have it as like a cowl, and it can be like her first knitting project. So yeah, we did a little bit of knitting, you know, of course, being nearly a 3-year-old, she, you know, had attention span of about 30 seconds, but that was okay. You know, it's starting her young. She's got the interest going. It's okay. So yeah, that was pretty fun, and I'll pop a picture in of the bag so you can see what I did. And I put a little progress keeper for the zipper pull as well that said made with love, so that was pretty sweet. She was really excited, so you know, that's the best case scenario for a handmade gift, really, isn't it? So I was pretty happy with that. And the last thing that I have sewn is another bag that I have done for a custom order for my shop, although I don't know whether she's going to want it, because it was a custom order and she wanted a long bag for her mum, because I think her mum must use straight needles, so she wanted about 45 centimeters. This is about 43, so that was one of the oopses that I had. It turned out a little bit short. I'm not quite sure why. I did all my calculations like I normally do for the bags, and it turned out square, and it wasn't supposed to be square. It was supposed to be 6 inches by 4 inches, but it's actually about 5¼ inches square. So yes, I was a little bit bummed. And I've put a little lovebird zipper pull on there, and I've got my little what do you call it, tag. So this is just one of my box bags that I sell in my shop, and I just did some coordinating green. You know, red and green works perfectly together. And as I was saying about the hand stitching, normally for the bottoms I would just, like, you know, pinch it and just run a seam across it, but yeah, I sat and watched some American Horror Story and I ladder stitched it together, so there's no visible seam on there. So, and that's true of all my bags. There's no visible seams, there's no overlocking, nothing on them. So yeah, hopefully she'll still want the bag. If not, this will be up in the shop, up for grabs if you want a really long straight needle bag. So yeah, and I always do the opening of the zip up near the handle, because I actually really like, I've got a couple of bags like this myself, just smaller ones, and I, you know, if I'm waiting at the bus, I can actually just hook it over my arm and just keep pulling my yarn out of the bag. So that's the way I like to make them. So that's my other bit of sewing. So it's really good to be able to be sewing again, although my later story will show you that I've had a bit of a spanner in the works with my study, which is where I do my sewing, which is a bit of a bummer. So, but that's okay, I'll talk about that at the end in blather. What's next? Polymer clay. I've been working so much with my polymer clay and it's so exciting because, like I said, my mojo for knitting is a little bit non-existent at the moment, so I've been trying to find other things to, because I don't like sitting idly. So I have been finding other things to do, and stitch markers and progress keepers and things is kind of where it's been at. And I got working with my polymer clays last weekend. So the whole thing that started it was I watched a Creative Rachie tutorial, she's on YouTube, of how to make little tea bags. So I don't know if that's gonna focus properly, but that's little tea bags. I'm going to have 3 of these in the shop. This one needs to be reglazed because I'm going through and glazing them. So I made some little tea bags, and I'm going to keep one for myself because I made it too thin, so you can kind of see they're quite thick. I made the first one too thin, so I'll keep the first one, and I'll have 2 that are like regular orange sort of brownie tea, and I'm going to have one that's a green tea. So I've just been going through, I bought some glaze the other day, so I've got a few here that I have glazed, and jelly beans have been my thing. I'm not really a jelly bean eater, but I love making jelly bean stitch markers. They're so cute. So these will be available as a set. So they're just some little jelly beans. They're quite shiny actually. Hopefully you can kind of see the colours, but there's like a purple, a pink and a gold. So I've been working on some jelly beans, lots of jelly beans. Another set that I'll be doing is some yellow, green and grey. I thought they went quite well together. And I've also did this technique, which I think they're called lentil beads, but they basically create like a swirl in them, and I thought they were kind of cool. So I've just been doing a bunch of, you know, practicing the things. I learnt on the weekend about something called an attache bead, which basically you swirl, you can probably see that, you can swirl your clay colours together, and then you cut them through the middle and they create that sort of pattern, which I thought was just awesome. So this one's I'm gonna be keeping this one, and I've glazed the top bead. I don't know if you can quite see, it's made the grey in this is actually like metallic, like an iridescent. I think they call it pearl in the clay. And since I've glazed the top bead, like the glitter in it has really come out. And I also did, this one's a little lower contrast. Oh yeah, you can kind of see that. So it's a purple and a cream that I did as well. So this one might be in the shop. I'm not quite sure. At the moment, the polymer clay stuff is, like, especially jewellery wise, it's just more for me to play with. So the other night I sat and I glued all of the little loops in, so they shouldn't come out. And I've got a few more here because I've really been working on my stitch markers. If you follow my Instagram, you would have seen I had little jump rings. I put them in the podcast, didn't I, a couple of weeks ago. But I've recently got a few more charms for my progress keepers. So I've got like little cupcakes. Got Made with Love, which I had in Amelia's. And Just For You and Made with Love. So you can't really see. Made with Love are like little love hearts. So these are all available in my stitch marker kits. I'm not quite sure if you guys are interested in just buying the progress keepers. I'm happy to do a new listing for you to buy just the progress keepers. I've got little paws. I've got, of course, the lovebirds like I had on the bag. Little lotus flowers. So yeah, I've been making all of these little progress keepers, and I'm really enjoying it. It's like a new little, I've never really been a jewellery or a beader or anything like that, but I'm really enjoying making these. So I made some more Natasha beads to make into stitch markers. Got a couple different sort of colour mixes. So you can kind of see them. And these are the same mix as my necklace, like the grey and the cream. I think it's beige, I think I used. So these ones haven't been glazed yet. And the glazing just kind of really brings out the colour and gives them a bit of shine. So yeah, I've been really enjoying the polymer clay, and I'm just using, what's it called? What brand is it? It's Sculpey. I'm using the Sculpey clays. So yeah, that's been pretty fun. Hopefully I'll get everything glazed in the next week or so and get them popped up in the shop. So if you like any of those, I'll keep you posted. Definitely check out the MyMuddlings Instagram account, because that's where I'll kind of post about all of that stuff. So pretty much all that's left is some yarn that I dyed this week and a bit of blather that I teased to you. And the yarn, the first one I'll show you is my favourite, and I'll show it to you first to rip the band-aid off because it's already been sold. I apologise, but I did write down the recipe, so if you love it, please let me know and I can dye some more. But this I have decided to call 3 o'clock in the afternoon, because Simon and I couldn't decide. I couldn't decide on a name, and I had it suggested that it looked a bit like iced coffee, which is true because it's got the different tones of, you know, brown and a bit of orange and the white for foam and things like that. But it did have those blue speckles, like it's like a deep blue. And Simon said it reminded him of a blueberry muffin, so he said, what about 3 o'clock in the afternoon? So it's coffee break, you know, your cup of coffee and your blueberry muffin. So Erin is the very lucky recipient of these. So I love this. So I think I'll have to dye some more anyway. But it's a new kind of dye technique that I hadn't tried before, that I'd sort of seen around, and yeah, it turned out really well. I really love how the colours blended. So that's 3 o'clock in the afternoon. If you would like some, please let me know and I will dye some more up. So that's the first one. And these two different colourways will be in the shop. I did the temporary listing this morning. This one I am calling Prismarine, because Simon and I are both Minecrafters, and yeah, this is like, there's things called ocean monuments in the game, and it's like an underwater thing, and there's a lot of the teal and purple being used in there. This also has a little bit of brown as well. So this is on my fine merino sock base, so these will be up in the shop. That's Prismarine. And finally, this one I think I'm going to call Pink Grapefruit. It's not desperately grapefruity, but I couldn't really think of anything else. It kind of looks like the grapefruit, so they're quite bright. It's a tonal pink. Hopefully you can see that there's different shades of pink in there, and then it's got like an orange speckle over the top. So you can see the orange speckle a little bit better in there. So this is on my bamboo sock base, which is bamboo, merino and silk. So they'll be up in the shop. So that's pretty much all I've been sort of working on this week. My little bit of blather, just to finish off, was as I said before, we rent our house here. It is not the best condition house, and yesterday Simon and I were both out all day. Obviously Simon was at work and I went to visit my sister, and I get home. Simon had just got home not long before me, and I see that our study window is folded out from the house and smashed. So our house, with nobody at home, had a smashed window. Yeah, which is quite discomforting. So we're already on 6-month revolving leases here, because I'm pretty sure they want to knock it down and build 2, which is the big trend in Australia. And yeah, and I think it's probably going to happen sooner rather than later, because I know they don't want to spend any money on the house. So I don't think we're going to get a repaired window. The handyman came like within minutes. It was really awesome. He was here really quickly yesterday and fixed it up for us. So we have a boarded up window, and the study is my sewing room. So that means I have no light, really. I had natural light coming in. So unfortunately it's all been boarded up. So, and that probably means, because they don't want to spend any money on the house, it probably means we'll have to move in August, which is really sucky. Again, as I said earlier, I'm trying to remain positive and hope that, you know, either it'll get fixed or we'll still be able to stay here, because the rent is very cheap. As I've said before, we don't have a ton of money, so yes, trying to think positive and hope that everything will be okay. But yeah, that was a bit of a shock to come home and find the window smashed. So yeah, nothing was touched, nobody broke in, it's all fine. The window, just the rivets had sheared, and because we've got the vent type windows that move out like that, the rivets had just sheared off the top, and the window had literally just like fallen out and smashed. So yeah, so that was the adventure of yesterday. So that's pretty much the most exciting thing that's happened this week. So I don't have a lot to blather about. But anyway, I think I'll let you guys go. This has probably been a little while. So yeah, hopefully my battery has hung in there. It's been flashing at me for a little while, so I'm hoping that it is still recording. So yeah, have a great week. Happy crafting, and I will see you guys next week. Bye.